He's Austin Price. I'm Eric Kane here at Volquest.com and Volquest on the YouTube channel. Jalin Hyatt, Tennessee wide receiver, made it official here today, announcing his intentions of declaring for the NFL draft. And with that, Austin, he will sit out of the Orange Bowl. Thought this was just a matter of when and not if. That's a lot of money you'd be walking away from. A business decision for Jalin Hyatt coming off a historic Tennessee season this past year.
Yeah, no doubt. Jalin has really enjoyed his time here, and talking to him the last few weeks, you could tell this was the direction it was headed. And, I think he and his dad and mom sat down, started to try to weigh out, okay, going to go pro now. Do we opt out of the bowl game? And it just, when you looked at it, you see, players like, former Notre Dame linebacker Jalen Smith. You see Matt Corral last year in the Sugar Bowl. Even if the chances are 20%, are you willing to gamble with, your draft status, your first contract, potentially your NFL future? Because, the least little thing can kind of have it derail or spiral on you. And the answer was no. And, I know for some old school fans, they don't like that because that's not how they did it in the old days. But they just got to have to come to grips with, your team's going to wear alternate jerseys in most instances. The kids are going to opt out of bowl games that aren't the playoff. I think part of Jalin, the competitor, would love to play in this game because it's the Orange Bowl. But I think as a family, they sat down and talked about it, and just the family decision, the juice isn't worth the squeeze here in terms of the risks involved.
So when you look at what this means for Tennessee in the immediate time, Tennessee's going to go on and play in the Orange Bowl, as you mentioned. Cedric Tillman earlier this week announced that he will not play in that game as he is going to start trying to get healthy, of course, and getting ready for the NFL draft. Jalin Hyatt now following suit. Looks like offensively, it's going to look a lot like that Vanderbilt game. Hyatt didn't play the majority of that Vanderbilt game. You're going to have Joe Milton at quarterback, and then your receivers, Brew McCoy should be back, Ramel Keaton, and then Squirrel White in the slot.
Yeah, Brew didn't play in that game. So, you look at Tennessee's wide receiving core most of the year, and it was Hyatt, Brew, and Ramel because Ced was injured so much. So it's really not a whole lot different. You just don't have Hyatt there in the slot. So you'll move in, Squirrel White. And then who else do they play there when they go to a three-receiver set? Is Squirrel will get all these reps, or is this going to be kind of split with Walker Merrill, slot some, or Chaz Nimrod? I think there's options. I think that's something Tennessee will get to work with, pretty quick once they start bowl practice later in the week. They've been doing a little bit of team activities. I'm sure they have. I'm sure Josh Heupel and Joey Halsley and Kelsey Pope know, offensive standpoint. But Tennessee depth-wise, biggest thing is your depth for that bowl game. In case there's an injury. But, right now Tennessee's only went with basically 3.5 all year. I'd expect them to pretty much be the same at the Orange Bowl. It'll just be a kind of a different looking 3.5.
And then what this means for Tennessee in the transfer portal, Tennessee's already kind of looking for a wide receiver, expecting a transfer visitor this weekend, potentially another one in January. Nothing changes in that regard. Tennessee's still looking for a wide receiver. Now down 2 wide receivers in Cedric Tillman and Jalin Hyatt going into 2023.
Well, that's right. Ra Thomas is supposed to be here this weekend, Mississippi State transfer, and then Dante Thornton planning to visit in right now. When you talk about timelines, if Ra Thomas wants in, I don't think Tennessee's going to sit around and wait till January to see what Dante Thornton's got. You can't afford that, right? You got to kind of take what you can get, and you don't want to be left with nothing. So we'll be interested to kind of see how this thing transpires. But some of the transfers are not in a huge rush. I don't think Dante Thornton's in a big rush. I think he's kind of letting it play out and, kind of taking it slow. Other kids are a little more quick to pull the trigger. But it'll be interesting to see what Ra Thomas does coming out of the weekend. Does he wait till January, take some more visits, or does he feel good about Tennessee and want to jump in the boat? But there's no doubt wide receiver is very important to 2023, and I would expect Tennessee to continue to look hard in the transfer portal for one.
Well, Tennessee's had really good wide receiver play each of the past 2 seasons. Cedric Tillman was out about half this year with an ankle injury. He had a good 2021. Jalin Hyatt, Biletnikoff Award winner here in 2022. Neither one of those guys will be playing in the Orange Bowl, as today Jalin Hyatt announces he will forego his senior campaign and look towards the 2023 NFL Draft with no Orange Bowl with the Volunteers. Great careers for Jalin Hyatt and Cedric Tillman. Continual coverage of Tennessee with Orange Bowl preparations, the transfer portal, recruiting, all that and more. That's over at Volquest.com. And, of course, right now, hit that like button and please subscribe to Volquest on YouTube. For Awesome Price, I am Eric Kane. Appreciate you guys joining us here for some more Tennessee coverage. Volquest.com.